help us know where you also basically
sorry, I was on mute. Good afternoon, everyone. We will give it about 3 to 4 minutes just to give everybody an opportunity to come in, and then thereafter we will kickstart. So let's earmark to kickstart around 3 past 4 past 1.
All right, Awelani, I think we can start. The rate of entry seems to have slowed down. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks everyone for dialing in and welcome to the 2021 IFWG Supervisory Technology Hackathon. Awelani, we seem to have lost the screen for the slides. Could you perhaps reshare?
Okay, let me do that now.
Awelani, are you able to share the screen?
Yes, it's loading. It's loading. It's gonna.
All right, thanks. All right. So please move to the next page, Awelani. So welcome everybody to the 2021 Suptech Hackathon. So as you will know, we obviously framed the hackathon around 5 use cases or problem statements that deal with automated data collection, artificial intelligence for fraud detection, forecasting and predictive analytics, cryptocurrency-oriented risk management tools and supervisory technology tools, as well as financial crime surveillance. So what we will see today is concepts, demos, and solutions that aim to address a myriad of problems related to these topics. And so this will provide an opportunity for regulators to engage and get exposed to what's out there. And stemming from this session, led by Awelani, he will then facilitate subsequent discussions should there be interest from in subsequent discussion based on how compelling the solutions are. But for the immediate, in terms of the immediate task for today, we will essentially look to obviously distinguish among the very strong solutions we're likely to hear about today in terms of which are the top 3 solutions that will be announced at the end. So, and then obviously if there's subsequent discussions warranted, then there will be an opportunity via Awelane to get that arranged. Next slide, please, Awelane. So with that in mind, the structure of the session is as follows. So I'm currently doing the welcoming, but flowing from that, Awelane will just give a snapshot of some of the insights that we gleaned from our surveying of the supervisory technology capability landscape. So the interesting thing about this research is it's framed around a diagnostic. So essentially it was a reflection around where are we as regulators from a capability perspective, and therefore what we need to do to boost that capability so we can obviously better supervise a very fast changing and digitizing financial sector. So that's the piece that Awelane will cover quickly. And then we will get to hear from World Bank, who did a very compelling and insightful piece of research around supervisory technology and are able to give the global picture for what that currently looks like and where the areas of innovations are. And so we'll hear from them, and then after that, we will then hand over to the innovators to demonstrate solutions, propositions that they have that could potentially address some of the risks that we face. And then after that, the audience will be given an opportunity to vote on the most compelling propositions, and then Awelane will then do the wrap up and close off the Suptech hackathon, and then he'll share how you can engage with them for next steps. Over to you, Awelane, and enjoy, everyone.
Thank you very much, Kagiso, for setting the scene and for introducing this whole event for the day. As Kagiso has indicated, I'm going to share with you just the highlights on some of the work that we've done as the IFWG around this topic. So we did some research last year, whereby our research was mostly focusing on 2 main Suptech use case development, which is investigative Suptech and as well as a preventative Suptech. Under investigative Suptech, it basically entails the identification of regulatory non-compliance after it happened, and then the processes that actually kicks in thereafter. So under investigation, the activities that we actually focused on was around misconduct analysis, data management, as well as reporting. Under preventative Suptech, however, here we're actually focusing on allowing the supervisors of regulators to act in advance before any regulatory non-compliance or breach can happen. So the activities that actually emanate out of that way, something like risk monitoring, financial crime surveillance, as well as identity management. So to try and understand the state of Suptech in South Africa, where we are, as we compare or we benchmark ourselves with the best in the world, we went and conducted a survey where we spoke with South African financial regulators, specifically targeting CIOs, people in IT, people in supervision and regulation, and some people also in data science. So our survey was themes around 4 main themes, which was data management, skills, use case development, as well as IT instrument. As you can see on my right here, we've got scales from low, basic, good, and best in class. For example, under data management, the overall scale which South Africa was found operating in was sort of basic, meaning that very few financial regulators in South Africa are actually making use of these Suptech tools to enable them to do data management function. Just to give you another practical example, if you look, for example, in data processing, the best in class in the world, they are already using artificial intelligence, machine learning to do those things. Whereas those are the best in the world that's actually operating. In terms of analytics, for example, the best in the world, they can do for you predictive, diagnostic, and all those forms of analytics. Whereas the basics, they only can do the descriptive analytics. So if you look at skills, that was the most interesting part. The overall picture of South Africa was good, meaning that what we found from our survey was that most of our regulators, they do have IT personnel who are very skillful. They can make use of novel technology languages such as your Python, your R to do all these functions. So that's what came out. In terms of use case development, the picture unfortunately was not that good because it came out very low, meaning that most of South African financial regulators are not in a stage at the moment where they are able to leverage these Suptech tools to enable them to sort of perform their work as it concerns to financial crime, risk management, identity management, and all that supervisory work, which is actually worrying to us. Lastly, under IT instrument, the overall picture similarly was basic, meaning that most of South African financial regulators at the moment, they are not at a state, they are sort of an IT architect is not in a state whereby they can take advantage of big data and also make use of this novel technology. So, however, the interesting part of that is that most of them, they are actually in transition, moving towards position. But however, it's still something that is still in the way at the moment. So lastly, looking at some of the highlights that came out from our survey, some of the highlights and also the challenges. Some of the highlights that came out was that Suptech it increased in effectiveness, whereby you found that most of the manual work now can be automated, whereby you can find that some work that was difficult to do, humanly impossible, now with this technology you can do it with ease. There's an increase in consumer outcome whereby the larger sector of financial system is under supervision and monitoring. So consumers are mostly protected and also the efficiency of a system become good. When you look at challenges, some of the challenges that I can highlight was the issues of financial constraints, whereby some of financial regulators indicated to us that their budgeting is determined by the central government. And there's been a cut that is happening. And as a result, such kind of initiatives end up taking a backseat. There was an issue of technology whereby they will tell you that the law at the moment, it restricted them probably from using technology such as cloud. So they will need to get permission to do that. So those are some of the key findings that I can share with you that has emanated from the study we've done as a country. However, having said that, it is important to note that the overall picture of South Africa, when we compare ourselves with the best in the world, we still have a way to go. We are still in the nascent stage, meaning that there's still more room for growth and the development. So this is what I can share with you. With those few words, it's an honor for me to hand over to the World Bank, who will sort of give us a more detailed insight regarding this subject, also based on the work which they've done. Over to you, Mark and Jim.
Thanks, Mac. Good afternoon, everyone in South Africa, and good morning and good evening if you happen to be elsewhere, like myself. My name is John Boedu. I am part of the Financial Inclusion and Consumer Protection team at the World Bank. And I'd like to thank the FSCA for this invitation to attend this great event. It's a real pleasure, and particularly because it's an event that's focusing on solutions and coming up with innovative ideas, which is something that we are very keen on in this context. And next slide, Matt, thank you. So we wanted to share with you a little bit of a snapshot, as already been mentioned, of research we've undertaken recently in relation to Suptech, and particularly Suptech for market conduct supervision. Myself and the team have been working with the FSCA, with National Treasury on a range of initiatives in the last 5 or more years around both market conduct regulation and supervision. And in the context of supervision, we have been trying to grapple with our colleagues in South Africa, as is the case in a lot of other countries, with some challenges that come in the context of trying to supervise consumer protection as markets develop very, very quickly. So we recognize at the World Bank that fintech, digital financial services, has been of great benefit in a lot of markets, and certainly it's spurring a lot of good things in international financial sectors, including South Africa. But that with that, the supervisors that we work with are facing challenges such as having to protect a lot of new users. With the concept of financial inclusion, you want to bring as many people into the market as possible, but of course that means that you also need to try to protect them at the same time. We have a lot of new institutions coming into the market, and again, supervisors have to be able to cope with that expanding cohort that they have to supervise. And of course, there's a range of new risks and existing risks that manifest in new ways that you have to tackle. And so the answer is not to try and stop any of the good developments, but it's to try to ensure that market conduct supervision can deal with both the expansion of issues and also with these new changes. And unfortunately, as I'm sure everyone at this event knows, the pandemic we're all living through has also brought forward some new challenges and exacerbated other challenges. Next slide, please, Matt. So with that in mind, I think now 2.5 years ago, we decided to undertake research around developments on Suptech, and particularly trying to look at market conduct Suptech solutions that were either already being developed or being used to try and get to some practical insights around what was happening in the market. And that's where my colleague, Matt Wallace, that's joined this event with me, who is a consultant with the World Bank on Suptech and FinTech, comes in. He was one of the co-authors of this major new paper that's been mentioned. And the idea of the paper is really to try and illustrate a range of solutions. We talk to regulators around the world about their experiences, a range of solutions, how they could be used, and then to try to extract from that some insights in relation to implementation challenges, implementation opportunities, and also use cases. And so with that, I'm going to hand over to Mac to continue the presentation, and he's going to walk us through some of the insights gained. And of course, the paper is also publicly available now. Very, very happy to share that at the end. Over to you, Mac. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction, Gian. My name is Mac Wallace. I'm an author, as Gian mentioned, of the World Bank's latest publication on Suptech. I'm both a former market conduct supervisor myself, as well as a product leader within FinTech. And I'm passionate about this intersection between supervision on the one hand and data and technology on the other, which is so great to see in today's event. As Gian shared, we'd like to share a few insights contained within our recently published global paper. It is publicly available, and we'll be distributing the slides to attendees as well. So the data diagrams and other things that we'll go through on a high level today will be available to you after this event. Our research draws upon a wide range of regulatory experiences as a result of research across 14 financial authorities worldwide. And across these financial authorities, we see two primary motivations regulators today are pursuing Suptech solutions. The first is increasing operational efficiency, and the second is enhancing the effectiveness of hypothesis-driven supervision. The former is often about automating business processes by replacing elements of the supervisory framework with data and with algorithms, bringing significant efficiencies to the process. And the second involves helping supervisors to test and prove hypotheses using new sources of data and analytics. As we just heard, Suptech has been a focus of the Financial Sector Conduct Authority here in South Africa, and many of the impacts and benefits that have been previously highlighted in your own research we confirmed within the global insights we found at the World Bank as well. So this includes the importance of Suptech to enable and enhance a risk-based supervisory framework and other benefits, such as bringing in a larger share of the financial sector under supervision with improved outcomes for consumers. During today's presentation, I'd like to introduce on a high level the 4 categories of Suptech solutions we observed for market conduct or consumer financial protection supervision. And then I'll introduce on a high level one example for each to make this a bit more real for each of you listening in. Through this research, we identified 4 general categories. each aligning with a key supervisory activity. This list is not meant to be exhaustive, rather indicative, and is meant to be a complement to many of the functionality-based taxonomies that we're currently seeing. And so what these categories are on a high level here from left to right, solutions for regulatory reporting, solutions for the collection and processing of complaints data, solutions for non-traditional market monitoring, and the fourth here is solutions for document and business analysis. And on a high level, what each of these are about, starting with regulatory reporting. A primary method for regulators to identify emerging market risks is to collect information directly from supervised institutions. Historically, this was quite manual and done through reporting templates submitted by mail, email, fax, resulting in slow and inefficient, more error-prone processes. Today, though, web portals, APIs, and automated data flows, or ADFs, allow for database systems of financial services providers to communicate with the database systems of financial authorities. So there's a lot of innovation going on there currently. The second category relating to complaints. Complaints data is one of the most valued data sources for market conduct supervisors, and Suptech solutions and complaints handling alleviate the operational burden through greater automation. Such solutions can also introduce new front-end digital experiences to engage with new consumers. The third around non-traditional market monitoring. The internet provides the opportunity to utilize a range of new non-traditional methods for conducting market monitoring, which is another core activity for supervisors. So monitoring on social media, news media, websites, the providers' websites themselves can provide an early warning signal of emerging consumer risks in the market. And then the fourth around document business analysis. Advances in analytics have been most profound in the realm of unstructured text data. For example, natural language processing, or NLP, can ingest and analyze large quantities of documents, extracting insights in seconds, where previously it would have taken weeks, or if at all, by a supervisor. And given the more qualitative nature of market conduct supervision, advancements in the analytics of text present a potentially significant breakthrough moment. So what I'll do is quickly go through a high-level example of each here. As I mentioned, the slides will be available afterwards, so these data diagrams will be available to you to look at afterwards. I'm sorry, is someone saying something?
Sorry, Mark, kindly note that you left with 3 minutes. Thank you.
No, sorry, Mark, apologies for that. Please do carry on. You have more time than that, so just carry on. Thanks.
Okay, it's to 1:30, correct?
Yeah, sure. So please do go ahead. Sorry, it was just a mix-up.
Okay. So just on a high level here, an example of each. The first example is around supervision information systems, which represent a comprehensive IT upgrade to the collection, validation, and analytics of reported information from supervised institutions. And as you can see from the technical diagram, these solutions can provide immense regulatory benefits from the direct and automated collection of granular data, and then also centralizing this data from across the authority for centralized analytics. And this supervisory infrastructure supports authorities to conduct market monitoring and offsite examinations, which have taken on an outsized importance, obviously, as the logistics of on-site examinations have been made more complex. Second example related to complaints. Complaints are a rich data source for market conduct supervisors, allowing them to identify trends and instances of products and providers with high potential harm to consumers. And globally, we've seen across countries a trend towards higher complaint volumes during the pandemic, indicating the increased need as well as operational burden of managing complaint services. Traditional complaint handling often relies on manual processes and are limited in their ability to interact with consumers, the result of outdated channels and accessibility issues with those channels. So a complaints management system automates the complaints handling processes, optimizes data management for supervision, and expands the visibility and access to the public as submitting a complaint. The next category that we observed in our research relates to non-traditional market monitoring, and here we see quite a bit of innovation as well. The example that I'll share here is social media monitoring, which is often used together with web scraping and consumer sentiment analysis. Supervisors use these solutions to listen directly to the voice of the consumer and understand consumers' interactions with financial providers in real time. This enables supervisors to more quickly identify and act on emerging consumer risks. And as commercial solutions have become increasingly available at competitive prices, we see more financial authorities around the world piloting or adopting such solutions. The last example here, which I'll introduce, relates to document and business analysis. So many of the Suptech solutions that fall into this category focus on the analysis of unstructured text using applications of NLP. And NLP refers broadly to the ability of computers and algorithms to analyze text and speech data. This includes the ability to infer topics in text, classify and categorize documents, and measure other text characteristics such as sentiment and topical labeling as well. Challenges remain though. NLP does require continuous fine-tuning and interpretation of its outputs to be accurate and usable. But as I mentioned earlier, given the more qualitative nature of market context supervision, advancements in the analytics of text represent a potential breakthrough moment for market context supervisors. And then some last points here as you're thinking about solutions and how to implement them today. What we found across authorities is that Suptech solution is about more than just the solution itself. And what you heard already earlier from the diagnostic is that embedding modern technology and data to the supervisory process is an ongoing effort and really requires parallel investments in people, your processes, and your underlying IT infrastructure. And the culmination of all these efforts together is really transformation into being a data-driven supervisor. So it was great to hear about the diagnostic earlier, and you can follow up in the report to learn a little bit more around these parallel things to consider. And then my last point, and again, things for you all to consider today, as supervisors, we've researched and encountered a number of implementation considerations and questions as they implemented Suptech solutions. So for both supervisors and the financial services providers, it's important to anticipate common implementation considerations, such as key decisions around addressing legacy IT. Do you build something in-house? Do you rely on a third-party vendor? And what kinds of initiatives can accelerate adoption, such as a formal champion or Suptech office? These are some of the global best practices that are currently emerging. And then last is also important to assess whether the proper supervisory framework is already in place to support the specific Suptech solution that you're looking to implement. Thank you. I hope I kept to the time limit here, and back over to our conference organizers.
Thank you, Mark. You did actually very well. You you kept to the script and to the time. And I just want to say thank you very much for this insight. I think this was wonderful. It actually emphasized the reason why we are having what we are having today. And then, yeah, so that's a very, very good insight. There were some people who were also asking when can we get the slides and all that. So we are glad to say to people, yes, Mark and Wallace and Gian have given us a permission to be able to share the slides. So we will gladly share the slide with you, so you don't have to worry about that. So thank you very much once more. And then, yeah, so we'll go back to the menu of the day, whereby today we'll be going to what I can say the main course. So to my regulators who are on the line, what I can say to you is, yeah, sit and have a shopping experience and enjoy what is gonna be a display before you. And I'm hoping that you will find something that you're looking for. So without waste any time, I'll take this time to introduce the first fintech or innovator who's gonna do the demo for the day. Their name is Isazi. You can see them there as it's been projected. Isazi, they specialize in AI and machine learning solutions. So we're gonna give them an opportunity to do the demo to see what they can do for us. So what they've indicated that they can be able to do is that they can be able to do automated data collection, as well as AI for fraud detection. So over to you, Ashley, to take us through what ISAZI have to offer today.
Great. Thank you. And thank you to everybody for your time. I really look forward in sharing some of the work we do at ISAZI. Please, can you let me know if you can see my screen? I'm about to share it. Can everyone see it?
Yes, we can see that.
Great. So I'm going to jump straight in just to make the best of our 8 minutes. ISAZI was founded back in 2012. I founded it with 2 other friends, Dario and Uba King. Both of them were lecturers in applied maths and computer science at Wits University. We've since grown the company. We're just over 40 people. We over 100 degrees from 6 disciplines: computer science, physics, mathematics, statistics, electrical engineering, and auditing. And really our focus as a company is to build product locally that is indistinguishable from products built in the Silicon Valley and the Tel Avivs of the world. And we've a collective group that really try and focus on our craft on building unique solutions that satisfy specific problems. And in today's presentation or that I'm going to share with you is all about going from unstructured data to structured data. And the presentation before this said something very important, that whilst the world is becoming, or we can access data through APIs, etc., and we're having all this wonderful machine learning and algorithms that are being written to absorb this data. But if we can't do the simple thing of structure, so convert unstructured data to structured data, curate it and validate it, then we go back to making all the investment in machine learning pretty worthless, because garbage in equals garbage out. So our focus today is really that conversion and management of processing of data. I want to start off with a very high level definition. What is unstructured data to us? The first example is actually handwritten data, converting it to what we call structured data. And this is normally where the error starts, is how do you convert the number on the left to the number on the right? And that's an example of it being done incorrectly. And other than handwriting, here are computer-generated documents, in this case, an ID book. How do you convert that accurately and write it to a specific database of choice? So unstructured data is any document, either scanned or PDF, any document that's still locked in. The information is locked in that document. How do we extract it correctly and write it to different workflow systems in an organization? It started off, or I think the ideal was previously when paper was one of the biggest innovations, the term going paperless was coined in the 1970s. And when people said they'd like to go paperless, what they meant was not to have the document translated into PDF, but rather the document's information inside it to be in that structured format, because that's really where you get the automation benefits, etc. And what actually happened instead is we hit the time of the PDF, which is, even if you find companies today, if they come out with an app and say they're paperless, you'll find an upload button on the app where we upload our FICA documents, ID books, bank statements, etc. And this is not really paperless, because what you're actually after is the structured data, because somebody still has to extract that information from the PDF. So what we do is we integrate to different databases, and I'm going to show you how we convert unstructured to structured database. And we do this as a layer that sits outside your organization and doesn't allow any unstructured data to penetrate and get to your organization. So what we want to do is convert it upfront, structure it, curate it, validate it, and then give all the different workflow systems in your business the final product of data. So what are our options right now? To do this, you can do it internally. So companies will have a large processing or internal teams. Secondly, you can outsource it to a BPO, a business processing outlet. A lot of jobs were outsourced to India, from South Africa to India. And what we're about to show you today, the third one is actually OCR tools, which is optical character recognition tools. So you buy software that's supposed to read these documents, and they don't work. And I'll show you why in a minute. What you're going to see is actually a solution that combines human and machine together to produce a final result that's 100% accurate. I want to just start with the problem with all OCR tools that exist today globally. Is if you had 1,000 pages of documents, we originally thought that if you had OCRs that said 80% was accurate, 800 would be automated, and 200 would be manually fixed. In reality, what this means is that if there were 10 fields on this page and you were 80% accurate, 2 of every 10 fields will be incorrect. Therefore, 0 of the 1,000 pages would be fully automated, and all 1,000 pages will have to be corrected. And the cost of correction is far higher than the cost of capture. So what have we done? We've used some clever algorithms to read through OCR, but our biggest differentiation is how we deal with the 20% that's incorrect. So if our algorithm tells us, I have an ID number, but I'm not confident that I'm correct about it, what we do with it is we chop out that specific ID number. We then chop it up into further pieces. So we shred the data up, and that's how we anonymize data. And we fully align to GDPR and POPIA. We then take that piece of data, and we've created an online game that unemployed youth in South Africa log onto. And they play this game for us to get consensus around data. So this piece of this ID number, if our first labeler plays our game and goes 798642, our algorithm's confidence shifts. So if the original algorithm's confidence was 70% and our first labeler got it right, our algorithm will move from 70% to 80%. And we algorithmically distribute these fields to crowds of people on a game that we've created. And our algorithm does this as many times as required to get the consensus. In this case, an ID number will be at 99%. So we'll farm this field out until we get a high confidence, and we pull the field back and we join that field that had low confidence with the 80% stuff that was recognized by the OCR tool, and we achieve 100% end-to-end or straight-through processing of all documents submitted. And because we can do this, we do some very cool stuff with structured data. In this case, you're looking at invoice, which is a PDF, a line or purchase order, an LPO, which is a PDF.
Actually,
yes.
you left with 1 minute, sorry.
Sure. And we have 3 databases that we check across. What we're doing here is we adding within the document quantity times the price per unit, totaling the amount. We check information that VAT was calculated across an invoice, an LPO, and a database. So overall, we can convert it to structured data, and we do multiple checks between documents and multi-databases in organizations, and we can give information in a very high-level view. Here's a very quick example of 3,500 pages being processed in 10 hours. And overall, you see that 99% of documents were compliant and 0.46 was non-compliant. And our goal is for the regulators' energy to be spent on the 0.4% of non-compliance and not the 99% that is compliant. So that's the presentation, and thank you very much for your time.
Well, Thanks, Ashley. Thank you.
A lot of information.
I'm a regulator, but yeah, I think this shopping experience, yeah, it's gonna be very, 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 very good. So yeah, so thank you very much for that information. And yeah, so without any due waste of time, we're gonna invite our second presenter. Let me just. Yes, we're gonna invite our second presenter just quickly.
Secure Citizen, Awelani.
Yes, Secure Citizen.
Varsha is going to present it for us.
Secure Citizen, they are an onboarding sort of platform that help both financial regulators and companies. So their solution is mostly around fraud detection, issues regarding KYC and all of that. Darlene will share more. Got to that. Over to you, Secure Citizen.
Hi, everyone. Let me just try and share my screen again. It didn't seem to work the first time.
There we go.
Thank you. Can you see the right screen?
I'm seeing both screens, Varsha. It's not in presentation mode. Just show the other screen. There we go. No.
Let me just unplug this one. I have two screens. It does strange things. Okay. That's better. Okay, all. Hi, my name is Varsha Gokul. I am product manager at Secure Citizen. Thank you for allowing this chance to participate in this event. I'd like to kick off briefly with who Secure Citizen is. So we are an identity management platform built to cater for the numerous unique use cases found in Africa's ever-changing digital landscape. We were established to help combat digital fraud, help combat identity fraud through technology and innovation with a mission to protect both businesses and consumers and to create financial-free digital environment. So who are we? Secure Citizen is a joint venture between OneVault, who are the leading biometric service provider, and the Southern African Fraud Prevention Services, who are the custodians of fraud prevention in South Africa. Together, they realized the need for new innovative methods for authenticating individual identities, as existing methods such as knowledge-based authentication questions are being spoofed by fraudsters. Hence, Secure Citizen was born. So what do? We offer consumer identity verification using multimodal biometrics. These include your voice, your face, and your fingerprints. By allowing for multiple modalities, we increase the number of use cases where validation can be performed. We have created an orchestration layer or platform, which allows us to integrate with the best-in-class service providers to create customized solutions for verifications. This also ensures that we are not bound to a single technology, and which in turn increases our flexibility. As part of the platform, we have created a federated database of enrolled Secure Citizens. Once a citizen is enrolled, we have the ability to track all verification requests against this consumer, which strengthens the legitimacy of their consumer's profile. The consumer also has the ability to control who has access to their data. We have the ability to enroll and verify consumers in bricks and mortar physical locations or remotely using the consumer's own device. This flexibility is important in these dangerous COVID times and also provides a convenience factor to both the business and the consumer. Consumer empowerment is at the core of our business. We believe that it is everyone's right to own, manage, and understand their digital identity. How we believe our solution will assist with identity fraud protection and AML compliance is in the following ways. We believe that we can enhance customer due diligence. We can provide the ability to biometrically verify an individual throughout the customer lifecycle. So from customer onboarding all the way to even the delivery of your credit card or your parcel. We provide PEMP and sanction solutions. We provide full audit capabilities for all consumer verifications performed through Secure Citizen, including the biometric records, so that if there are any disputes, you can always go back to see who the person was that performed that transaction. We have created a Secure Citizen Identity Confidence Score. There are many data points that we can use in this, which include the enrollment channel, so whether it was remote or physical channels obviously having a higher score than a remote one, a facial matching score, a match to the Department of Home Affairs versus matching to an identity document, whether liveness was performed as part of the matching process, whether repeat verifications have been done on a customer, if the contact details have been verified, and whether we use multimodal biometric enrollment. We also have the ability to validate potential further fraud by comparing voice prints against the Southern African Fraud Prevention Services imposter voice bank, as well as a selfie photograph against the Secure Citizen face register. I'd like to show you a very brief demo of two of the options that we have for allowing consumers to enroll and verify themselves. This instance, the first one that I'm going to show you, is through the WhatsApp channel. To engage with the WhatsApp channel, the consumer types in the word biometric or any other phrase which we have determined. Sorry, let's go back. The consumer is then presented with a welcome message and asked to please enter their South African identity number. At this point, they are requested to take a selfie. The selfie is then compared to their image, which is stored at the Department of Home Affairs. Once this has been completed, you can see that this has been successfully matched. The consumer is now requested to carry on with the biometric enrollment of their voice. They repeat the utterance, "My voice is my password," 3 times to make sure that we enroll the voice correctly. This is the last time. We've now ground truthed this consumer using their face against the Department of Home Affairs, and we've then enrolled their voice biometric. So any subsequent verification needed on this customer can be used by either taking a selfie or saying the phrase, "My voice is my password," which just opens up multiple channels for where this customer can be verified. And you can see that was a successful enrollment. The second demo I'd like to show you is a remote URL verification. So a customer will be sent a unique link to themselves. So when they click on the link, it opens up a page which welcomes them as an individual with their name and their ID number and a set of instructions on how they need to proceed to enroll themselves. In this instance, I've decided to use my ID document as proof of who I am. So the ID document is then uploaded. Once that's been successfully done, I took a selfie. These images are then confirmed against the Department of Home Affairs image. So in this instance, now I have the consumer's identity document as well as their selfie to use for further verifications. And it was a success. Thank you very much. That's our presentation for today.
Wow, thank you very much, Secure Citizen, for that wonderful, wonderful presentation. I think, yeah, it's getting hotter and hotter, and I like what I'm seeing at the moment. And as a regulators, I think that's what we came here for. We came to dine and shop, have a shopping experience, and that's what we are getting at the moment. So thank you very much. Without waste of time, I will introduce the next speaker. Please, I will introduce you. Just wait, just give me a moment, Takalani. Okay, sure. So the next speaker who's gonna be taking us through now is Ashanti. It's Ashanti, sorry. Go back. It's Ashanti. So Ashanti, they specialize in data engineering, analytics, ML, as well as AI solution. So what they are aiming to solve here is issues related to auto data collection as well as AI for fraud detection. Takarani, over to you.
Let me see. Okay, let me see if I can share my screen this side.
Sure, you can.
Okay. Let me do that. Can you see my presentation this side?
Yes, we can, Takarani.
Okay, cool. Just a quick introduction to myself. So my name is Takarani Majaji. I'm the CEO and founder of Ashanti AI. As Aurani has said, we're basically a data science house that specializes in machine learning and AI in solving problems, really with the aim of three things, to assist whoever we're working with to make better decisions, improve efficiency, and ultimate, I think, from profit-making individuals to make more profit, right? And how we've become quite different from the market, or what you see in the market, is that we've got the ability to work with big data, IoT devices, and also build our own machine models from scratch. So from a team perspective, I'm an actuary by profession with more than 10 years experience, even in financial services industry. And we've got like statisticians and PhDs in our team. And we've basically worked with different companies from your blue chip companies and your small companies in both financial and non-financial service industries. So how we work, or how we come across into the market, is that we've got our own proprietary products that we're developing, or we actually basically develop proprietary solutions for our clients. But specifically for today, we wanted to actually focus on the following, right? In South Africa, obviously, over the years, we've strengthened the money laundering regulations, right? But however, according to BizTech last year, the country is still losing between 10 billion to 25 billion rands a year from AML, right? And obviously what has made this whole problem a little more complex is that the amount of data that has been generated is quite complex and makes it very difficult for either a regulator or a financial services company to actually make sure that they are protected from money laundering. So we are going to answer this with the solution that we developed. We're going to answer this particular problem. How much we help regulators to use AI to conduct risk scoring, detection of networks, compliance with AML requirements, and assessment of the likelihood of AML and fraud. Right. So this came at a very quite interesting time, this hackathon, because we were developing what we call Scrapeout. Right. So Scrapeout is an online cloud-based platform that basically does three things. It does sentiment analysis, online presence scans, and network reports. Right. Basically, it uses AI to classify what we scrape on the web about an individual into high risk or low risk. And obviously, in addition to that, you've got your social media presence. And an individual does have what you would call your social media or your online presence. But what's quite important, especially when you're dealing with AML, is your financial presence, right? And we've then partnered with one of the credit bureaus. So through an API that we will connect through our platform, we can actually, in addition to just scraping what's on the web and classifying that using AI, we can basically find out your financial history, where you stayed, what loans you have, what bank accounts you have, which then makes it a little bit very easy to make the connection of if there's any illicit funds, or to actually do an investigation. So I'm just going to go out of this and I'm going to show you a demo of the actual system. Okay. Yeah, this is Scrapeout. This is still our beta version, so it's going to go live very soon. So you'd log in as an individual. So what's quite important, especially when it comes to Poppy, right? Not everybody will have access to this, and you'll need to have a particular mandate for you to be able to use this platform. But as a regulator, I would assume that there's a blanket mandate that would enable the regulator to do such investigations. And what's also interesting about this particular platform is that all the results that I'm going to show you when I do the demo is that a regulator or any company who would want to use this platform does not necessarily need to use this front end. So we can expose an API with all the results that they want to consume onto their own platform. So you would sign in. Okay, so obviously I've created a few projects. So when you create a particular project, what it will then require from you, so let me just show you, is basically the data that's attached to that project. So let me say I've got a new batch this morning of new clients, right, that have been onboarded onto a bank. I want to find out whether they are politically exposed or not. So you'll upload the file, and obviously you have your mandate that's attached to that particular project. And this system won't allow you to move on if you do not have that particular mandate, right? And once you have that, you can either create individuals that you want to see the connections with on a single basis, right? Or as a batch, right? And obviously for the regulator, with a lot of people that they are kind of investigating, an API or a batch process would actually be quite important. And once you do that, it then creates the individuals on your platform, right? And what's interesting here, because I haven't run and I haven't connected the API with a query brew for a number of reasons. These are fake individuals. Okay, so these are fake individuals, so I couldn't really go and call an API with the correct results. But the API will then give me your last known address, all the companies that you basically were attached to or were a director to, the banks that you bank with, and possibly a bank account number, if there is one that the credit bureau would actually have. And therefore, it will create a number of reports, but my reports module just started giving me issues just before the presentation. But what's interesting here is basically the connections that one would be able to get, right? So you can basically get connections. Let me switch this thing off. Right, you can get connections by anybody in that batch that I uploaded who is connected via the address. So this becomes quite important if my dad is a pastor, right? Therefore, as a pastor, he's politically exposed, but I do not share the same surname with him. But as from a risk perspective, I'm a high risk. This you will pick up from this because we would have shared an address at some point or the other. And any company names that are linked to anyone who's politically involved, or myself, and addresses as well, then my rating scale actually increases. And this you can go on by the company registration numbers, whether we worked at the same place or we banked at a particular place together. And in addition to this, what you can do with this platform is that you can basically then see where in the world these individuals are that I'm looking at. Sorry, let me just move this.
Takalani, I was made aware you've got 1 minute left. Thank you.
Okay, so that's basically it. So you'll then be able to do this. So I wanted to show you the social media platform rating, but I suppose from the interest of time, I won't be. The idea is that it goes and scrapes at least the first 100 articles or mentions of your name on the web. And it also goes and goes to, I think we work with, like Twitter is the easiest at the moment, and your LinkedIn, and basically creates a score, a risk score for money laundering for yourself. So this is Scrape Out, developed by Ashanti AI. And yeah, I hope someone will find this interesting and useful out there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Takalani. I think what is obvious from the information that we are seeing here is that there is so much you guys can still share with us. I think time it's a bit of a constraint, but what is coming out here is that there's so much that you can share with us. And yeah, we are actually happy to get an exposure that we are getting today. And yeah, I think this is really wonderful. My system on my side is a bit slower this side. I would want to welcome the second. I don't want us to delay the program of the day. I would want to welcome the fourth presenter for the day, who's basically Image Analytics. Image, they are actually also in AI space, and their solution also is gonna try and address the issues as it pertains to AI and fraud detection. Over to you, Lawrence and the team.
Thank you very much. I'm going to give you a little bit of background about Emerge before we jump into a demo. As mentioned by Awalani, we're going to be focusing on artificial intelligence for fraud detection and forecasting and predictive analytics. Emerge is a business that's been around for almost 10 years now, but we also spent 10 years in machine learning and AI research and development before we started the business. The story goes back to my co-founder, Danny Saxenberg, who was working as an actuary at Deloitte back in 2002 and started doing various analytics projects. And one of the first things that came his way was actually a credit scorecard. And he started looking at how credit and predictive analytics was done and was convinced there had to be a better way. So what he did was he bought himself a supercomputer, started coding up various machine learning algorithms, and that became the basis of what today is Emerge. And we've automated all of that into our machine learning platform that we call Dragon, which I will demo for you just now. We're head office in Johannesburg, offices in the US and the UK. I'm not going to go through all of the credentials on the right-hand side, maybe just to mention one. If you haven't looked up EDM Council before, it's probably worth doing. They're a global enterprise data management council of chief data officers, predominantly based out of the United States. And Danny is the chair of AI and analytics for that particular organization. So we are involved both in the cutting edge AI development in South Africa, but also globally. We've done work with a whole lot of financial services institutions, banks, insurance companies, and have been fortunate to be published in many publications. Maybe one that's worth mentioning here is we have a partnership with Extend for fraud analytics, where we do the AI backend and they do the investigation. So it's a very powerful combination of skills. In essence, Emerge is built on one simple idea, and that is that the solutions to the world's biggest problems are in data. And there's no secret that we have mountains of data available. The statistics suggest that it's only 0.5% of all data that is analyzed or used. We suggest it's even less because there's data being collected all the time. So we probably are using a very small amount of data. The question is, how do you maximize the value from that data? And we follow a very simple five-step process. First and foremost, it's about understanding the business problem that we're trying to solve, what data can be used to solve it, and then it really comes down to our Dragon platform, where we do all of our data transformations. We've automated the whole process to allow us to be extremely quick in delivering these solutions. So data transformations, algorithm building, and all of that happens in our engine. And then it's about integrating into the business process and intervening operationally to create value. So we are in essence a hell of a lot quicker than what we've seen in the market, and substantially more accurate. But ultimately, it's about bringing the data science skill and the AI technology together to create business value. We've done work in multiple industries. Today we'll focus on obviously in the financial services industry, and we've done work we've got a bunch of products that we've developed in customer management and risk management. But we do also occasionally work on bespoke solutions with our customers. A couple of case studies I'm going to share with you before I jump into the fraud example. Maybe just the two top ones. For a multinational insurance company, we were working with their call center to optimize sales conversion rate, and against their existing algorithm, we were able to improve the conversion rate by 250%. For another insurer, we were able to help them reduce their cancellation rate by half, and have done some exciting stuff with visual pattern recognition at the bottom right in healthcare to identify and diagnose cancer or pathology slides. That's what I'm going to share in terms of our introduction. I'm going to jump into our demo now just to show you some of the details. So this is our Dragon platform. In the Dragon platform, we're able to upload new data, and then we'll build the actual AI model, and then we'll do the various testing. But in terms of the transformations, we have the ability to do various transformations on a whole range of data, both big and small. Because we've been working in the space for a long time, our methodology allows us to get substantial value out of relatively small or medium-sized data. So this case study was one where we were building for one of the lead banks in South Africa, one of the big four banks in South Africa, to help them identify fraud from their existing transaction base. So there were millions and millions of transactions every month. They had identified using rules a subset of about 12 to 15,000 transactions that required investigation, and they had a whole lot of different data points against them, 123 screens worth. And what we did was we took that data and we built a solution to be able to identify which of the existing investigations were actually fraud, and the fraud rate is close to 2%. So there's 98% of those transactions did not require investigation. The question is, can you use AI to identify what is considered to be fraud and what isn't? So I'm not going to go through all the details, but in essence, the results of this particular model had a Gini coefficient of 91. Many of you may have heard of the term Gini coefficient in the context of inequality within a society, but it's also a term often used to indicate the predictiveness of an AI model or a predictive analytics model into the future. Very briefly, if you were to there were 57,000 items that were investigated in this particular data set, with just over 800 of them actually being fraud. And if you were to randomly look at these and investigate these, you would eventually get to 100% of the data, 100% of the fraud if you investigated 100% of the data. If you were to have a perfect solution, the first 810 odd investigations would result in fraud, and there'd be no additional fraud thereafter. The red line is indicative of Emerge's model, and you'll see it's very close to that black line for a big chunk of this piece. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to download the 57,000s and allow you to compare to see how that all unfolds operationally. So here is what is our output. There's an ID with what really was fraud. This is obviously not going to be available to the model while we are busy running this in live, but this is a back test to show you the accuracy of the model. And I've created a spreadsheet here that's going to allow us to compare the results of the model. This is just a percentile. Where does each of these lines fit of the 57,000? I'm using this lookup table, which is really just an equal split of 100 parts for each of those things. And you'll see here the summary of the data shows that for each of the percentiles on the left, there is the fraud rate on the right, and you'll see in the top percentile, so in the top 580 odd lines out of 57,000, we had a fraud rate of 59.3%, and then it tails off from there. If we have a quick look at this in a graphical format, you'll see that there's a very high fraud rate at the beginning, and eventually there's no fraud there. What I've also done on the right-hand side is shown how this would work from a percentage of fraud collected. So here you've got the amount of fraud that has been identified relative to the amount of fraud that has been worked on. And you'll see that the 80-20 Pareto principle is actually, in this case, 86-10. So 86% of the fraud is identified in 10% of the data, or 94% of the fraud in 20% of the data. So what's really exciting, though, is that all of this data need not have been investigated because it was really never going to be fraud. And the solution we built allows efficiency in that space to minimize the need for unnecessary investigation. This tool can be used in various different pieces, can be used for all kinds of things: forecasting, sales, conversion, retention, etc. That's from me. Thanks very much for your time.
Wow, thank you very much, Lawrence. I think one thing that is becoming clear as every speaker comes to present here is that for us as regulators to go out there and reach out to innovators and fintechs and understand what is actually happening, it's quite very enlightening and insightful. And from these presentations that have been flashed so far, I've been highly enlightened, I must say. So yeah, thank you very much. So without any waste of time, now we'll call on the fifth speaker, which is Lemonade. Lemonade, their solution will be focusing mostly on issues as it pertains to financial surveillance and around fraud detection. Over to you, Julie.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to present. I'm going to be presenting our product to you by the name of Beeswax. Beeswax is a homegrown due diligence workflow system that offers a user your cradle-to-grave solution, which is tailored to produce a CDD report, and the automation of screening, which alerts you if a change is detected on a profile, allows you the comfort of knowing that your client base is consistently monitored. So we have got a system which we have built around different modules and different categories of individuals to monitor what people and how companies, etc., that with data that we have put together. We have built a system by the name of Beeswax, and I'm not going to go into each and every one of the modules, unfortunately, but I am going to start with the natural person, and I'm going to just give you an overview, a high-level overview of the capability of the system. So I have opened up a case for us. This is Natalie Allen, and just that you know, this is one of our staff members, and we have full permission to use her profile for demo purposes. For each one of the cases that you have created, you've got a set of tabs running across, which is predicted by your risk matrix, which is uploaded to the system. So the system is driven by your risk matrix along with sets of data and information that you provide. The personal details on this particular case has been captured. I've got a name, a surname, and the ID number, and you'll see that you've got the option to retrieve best known address, and you can capture addresses. The tool set that we give with the address is your Google tools. So your Google Map tools apply, and you are able to have a satellite view of where this person resides, and also if it's a company, just to see the legitimacy of the address provided. You've got a declaration made available to you if you would like to use that, which allows you to capture information when onboarding or pre-onboarding any client. The ID verification is a combination of your AI as well as a call to the Department of Home Affairs. So I'm able to upload a photograph of Natalie, compare that to a photograph that has been returned from Department of Home Affairs. I can upload her documentation, and I can do the AI and see that the comparison is 98%, which means that the person in front of me that I know, the documents that's been handed to me, will, along with the Department of Home Affairs checks, identifies this person as a true person. KYC allows me to upload all relevant documentation, and it will also search for the address which I have verified within the document to ensure that that document does contain that address. Your PEP information, if I run screening on this individual, I am able to draw information as to whether or not she is a politically exposed person. I am going to jump across to Ace Magashule as an example for you, only because that makes the presentation truly colorful. You'll see that if I were to upload Ace Magashule as a client and I did screen him for PEP, this is the kind of PEP information that will be returned to you. Our PEP database is a database that we have uploaded ourselves through scraping tools, etc., and it contains all the information required when an identification has taken place on a PEP. You can see this is his name. I have got certain risk flags that have popped up. I've got a full biography of him. I can see the position that he holds, that he has held, and also current or close associates, his natural people that's related to him, immediate family, close associates and entities, etc., etc. I can also, further to that, I can go and have a look at a graphic display, and this allows me to do some forensic networking. So I've started with Ace Magashule, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit there for you. I've started with Ace Magashule, and you'll see that I've got the options to select what different network facilities I want to see. So I can go and zone in on Elias. I can go and have a look at his close associates. I can have a look at entities, and the graph shows me how they all network together. And I'm sure if you have a look at this graph, you'll see some important and some valid information in detecting fraud, and where the networks lie is provided to you. So if I were to screen Natalie and she was a PEP, the same information will be brought in to the PEP tab. You will see her influence network. I'm able to hit Sub-C, and Sub-C will then bring back all the information related to whether or not she has a business. Is she a director? Who's her fellow directors in this business? And that then compiles a tab for me with her influence network. Source of income and wealth. This tab particularly has a facility where I can upload any information that's related to income and wealth. My next tab is my interesting tab, which is screening. This allows me to have a look at different sets of data. Now, the different sets of data that we have focuses and directly talks to risk and proactive risk approach. So you'll see a few different tabs or different sets of data, which is not familiar to many, but we have combined it with the common searches like PEP and sanctions and Sub-C. We have asset forfeitures, we have enforcement actions, we have global leaks, you've got tenders awarded and tender blues, and this gives you a very clear idea or clear indication of a person or a legal entity. Our document library is a facility that allows you to upload any document related to this person, or if it was an entity, to the entity. We've also inserted an expiry on the document. So would you need to upload a document if it's reached its shelf life? The system will alert you and you will be able to upload a new document for this particular individual. The audit trail gives you a full audit on anyone that has touched or worked on this particular case. It will indicate who the user was. It tells me on which date, which action had taken place on this particular individual. Our adverse media tab forms part of the screening, and you will see that you are able to run adverse media using a defined set of keywords. So it has a look at the name, the surname, it looks at the keywords that I have below here, and it shows me and brings back articles which has got the combination of the name as well as one of the keywords. And I'm able to mark these as relevant or discount to ensure that when I'm reporting on adverse media, that it is the accurate and correct adverse media that is required. So just back to my case overview. That is what our system's capacity does. That is what the system allows you. It's a workflow combination with screening that is a one-stop shop for your compliance, and it's got the automated alerts that allows you to see if there's been any change on any of the screening examples that I've shown you on a particular individual or entity. The legal persons, I just want to show you the different categories that we do have. If I do click on any one of my legal persons, it is going to show that the system has got the tabs that are now relevant to your legal structures. So it's going to show me all the company details along with the directors. It shows and allows me to capture your ultimate beneficial owners, shareholders, key employees. Each of those also allow me to see the graph that displays that particular information, and I can do ID verification, a PEP check, a rep check, adverse media on the company itself, as well as the related individuals within the company. I would love to show everybody our employee module, vendors module, syndicates and groups, but I know that we're not going to have enough time for that. The reporting functionality also allows a user that would they be, or if there's any vetting that needs to be done within the compliance department, they are able to generate reports and they're able to manage certain people under them and vet information within the system as well, which will fall part of your audit trail. The alert management is just the module that we have that allows you to have a look and go back to alerts. So if somebody's status has changed, you are able to go back.
Julie, you left with 1 minute. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Then I've made it in good time because that is what I would like to show you about beeswax. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Julie. I think that was, yeah, very wonderful presentation. My fellow regulators, maybe what I can just highlight before you is that regardless of the winner today, if you feel from the speakers that have showcased the solution so far, there's anyone that you want to contact them to further demo their product, feel free to reach out to me, because what is obvious here is there's just a lot. There's just a lot. And yeah, we might want to reach out to them and have those discussion where we want them to show more. So yeah, that's what I just want to highlight. Julie, thank you very much for that. That was very, very, very insightful indeed. So I will go to the sixth presenter, which is Converge Solution. Converge Solution, also they wanna showcase their solution, which is gonna address matters as they pertain to AI and fraud detection. I think also automated data collection. Over to you, Converge.
Thanks a lot. We just want to share our screen. Just 1 second.
No, the screen.
Yeah, we can see.
Just double check. Can you guys see our screen?
Yes.
Excellent. So first off, my name is Jaco Kromhout. I'm COO of Converge Solutions. And yeah, it's a real privilege for us to present you with our solution in such great companies. So yeah, very well done to those companies that already presented really great solutions. So we're really going to try and do the impossible by giving an overview of our platform, giving you a few demos of what we have done for previous clients, and then we will end up with just a summary of how we could assist. So without any further ado, I'm going to jump in. 1 second. So basically we will cover all 5 areas of the use cases presented in this challenge, being automated data collection, the AI and neural network side of things, forecasting, analytics, cryptocurrency, and then also financial crime surveillance. But let's kick off with what Themis is. So in a nutshell, we created an end-to-end fraud management solution that covers all avenues of fraud. And this includes money laundering, terrorism funding, your normal forensics, Ponzi schemes, syndication, internal collusion, and the list could go on. And how we do this is by creating an AI engine which comes standard with more than 550 different algorithms and typologies, focusing on the specific areas of fraud for a specific industry. Of course, all underpinned by neural networks, for example, vector or whatever the use case might be, and also machine learning to ensure that we can optimize what we need to do. And as you would expect in a solution like this, we also build our own case management. We call it Maestro. It also doubles up as a workflow engine. So with the click of a button, you can create different workflows. For example, if you need, the 2I or 4I principle. So our Themis solution or platform covers the more traditional model of fraud management. That includes your fintech, banking, insurance, medical insurance, public sector, and really any industry where transactional data is flowing. As a spawn of Themis, we've created another project and a solution called Brutus, and this focuses on the crypto and digital aspects of fraud. So this includes your travel rule, KYC, AML, specifically to your exchanges and everybody dealing with crypto. How it works. So we believe that you should start off with a solution that will provide rapid time to value. So in that matter, we can work with structured and unstructured data, and we also connect with any type of external database or data source to enrich the data. This is very important to ensure that we can enrich and that we can provide our end customers with a solution that makes sense. So everything is pulled into what we call a Themis data lake. From the data lake, we map it to our AI engine, and from our AI engine, we will get results. The results we put into our case manager, and we have seen that investigators can work up to 10 times as fast by utilizing our case management service. And then, of course, it also comes with a full set of reporting, customizable to every customer that we have's own business requirements. And we focus on C-level, middle management, but also your forensic teams and your technical teams. Also, what we are looking at is know your customer, know your customer's customer. We can do audits. We also provide a digital RBA or a risk-based approach. And all of this, is due to the fact that we have the algorithms, the AI, and that we also can do ongoing transactional monitoring. Just a few differentiators before I hand over to my team. Rapid time to value. So as I said, we come standard with an AI engine, more than 500 algorithms. We've got the machine learning entity. Also from an omni intelligence perspective, we can interface and connect via API or other measures to more than 7,500 different external data sources out there. And that's just to augment and verify analysis. That can be anything from CIPC, eNantis to your different credit bureaus, watch lists, whatever the use case stipulate, we can connect to it. Ease of deployment, as I said, we digest data in any format from any system into our data lake. We also are a cloud native solution, so we can provide solutions in the cloud from Azure, AWS, public, private, hybrid. But we also know that your big enterprises and, for example, your public enterprises would like to have the solution deployed in their own environment. So we have a version that can run in the client's own data center without a problem. And lastly, before I hand over, we work from a risk-based principle approach. So this implies that we have moved away from the old, outdated rule-based approach, and we can manage this through the whole way that the platform is set up. Lastly, we all know that the different entities out there have heavily invested into different areas of fraud, different solutions, etc. So we do not believe in rip and replace. We say we can utilize what is already embedded in a client's environment. So Themis can be an aggregator, or it can be the full end-to-end solution covering all areas of fraud. So perhaps just lastly, we have launched Themis late Q3 in 2019. And as you can see, 2019, we managed to sign up 5 different customers. In 2020, which was a very difficult year for us, 7 projects. And year to date, we have signed 21 new clients. And this is from your health insurance side, banks, financial services, asset managers. And we're also busy with a crypto Ponzi scheme investigation for an international client. So over to you. I'm handing over to my head of forensic, Sagan, and my head of BI, Dwayne. Thank you, guys. Take it away.
Okay, so here are the outcomes of some of the projects that we do. These are just like once-off forensics projects. I can't go into too many details, obviously, because of the time, but essentially what happened is the state ended up with several suits against it, and they asked us if we could put the suit Themis and tell them which cases are legitimate, which ones aren't. This involved ingesting data from multiple sources, Excel, XML, some sort of databases across all 9 different provinces, which all use different platforms. We then ingested tons of data from the World Health Organization to work out things like systemic risk when it comes to the claims, merge these data sets into third-party data sources, and then produce this report. The whole thing took us 4 days, and we were able to show the state quite simply which cases they should be investigating, which cases they should be abandoning, which cases they should settle, and which ones are outright fraudulent. Then we did a geo-analysis to show that some of the claimants' version of events was absolutely improbable given the locations of the events as well as the time between the events, using basic things like where pregnancies were concerned, and we were able to give them this dashboard. They could go and slice and dice through it and decide which cases they want to follow up and which cases they wanted to leave alone.
Sorry, Themis team, you left with 1 minute.
Okay, so we're just going to go through this one quickly. We take the data from a client, we put them into We risk rate all the clients according to our typologies, and we present the client with a dashboard like this where they can have a look at their high-risk clients, say, for instance, draw all the way through down to the lowest level, which is the customer profile, and see why we flagged it and go on to do the investigations from here. The whole process is automated from the time we get go. This is an example of a digital RBA. So what happens is every single metric is scored. We broadcast the scores to multiple people. And in the organization, they tell us what their risks are. This is on the subjective values. We then collate all the subjective values together and create them a digital RBA that is tracked by the underlying data as time goes forward. I think that's all I've got time for to kind of demonstrate what we did.
Thank you to the Converge team. I think it's much appreciated. Yeah, what I can say is at the moment it's factoring all the speakers that have spoken so far and measuring where we are as a country in terms of Suptech. I think we've got more reasons to accelerate ourselves. There's so much that is available there. And yeah, this has been so much enlightening. Now going to speaker number 7 of 10, we will give the floor to Chain Analysis to come and showcase their solution to us.
Fantastic. Thanks ever so much, Awani. Let me just share my screen. Is my screen showing okay?
Yes, it's visible.
Fantastic. Thanks ever so much. So just to quickly introduce myself, my name is Jed Sibley. I'm an account executive here at Chain Analysis, and I'm going to be here today to talk to you about cryptocurrency compliance and our investigative capabilities. So to very quickly introduce Chain Analysis, what we do is we make the blockchains more transparent. And what I mean by that is that we take real-world entities and we map those onto the blockchains. So those real-world entities could be other exchanges, they could be ATM providers, they could be merchant service providers, but they can also be your more types of nefarious types of services, such as your darknet markets, your ransomware actors, your terrorist financing organizations, and so on. You can see here we primarily work with 3 main business types. So we work very closely with cryptocurrency businesses. We provide them with our transaction monitoring solution, KYT, so they can monitor funds that go into and out of their business in real time to see if they have any nefarious links. We also work very closely with law enforcement and regulators on a global basis. So they're using us to understand the risk involved or the risks associated with cryptocurrency businesses. Where are those businesses receiving and sending their funds to? Are they taking any funds in from any bad actors, such as ransomware groups or terrorist financing groups and so on? And we also work very closely with law enforcement so they can track and trace cryptocurrency payments to essentially identify the people involved in the cryptocurrency transactions. The other area that we work in is with financial institutions. We're seeing more and more financial institutions looking to get involved in the cryptocurrency space, looking to provide services to cryptocurrency businesses. So very similar to a regulatory outlook, they want to understand the risks associated with cryptocurrency businesses that they're looking to provide fiat services to, essentially. Just to give you a little bit of background on the company, I think this is quite important just to kind of set the scene about Chain Analysis, really. So our CEO and co-founder, Michael Groninger, was one of the founding members of the New York-based exchange Kraken. And whilst they found it particularly difficult to get a business bank account due to the negative press associated with cryptocurrency at the time, this was back in 2013. So that's where the idea for Chain Analysis came from, to make blockchains a safer, more regulated space. He got his big break on the Mt. Gox investigation and was the lead investigator on that particular exchange hack. And that's where our investigatory solution was kind of built from. And since then, the company's gone from strength to strength. You can see we've got offices in New York, Copenhagen, DC, London, Japan, and Singapore, and we're at around 250 staff now. In terms of our solutions, the one that I'm going to be demoing today very briefly is the Reactor solution. This is our investigatory and enhanced due diligence solution that enables you to understand the risk involved with cryptocurrency businesses, where they're receiving and sending their funds to, and also enables you to undertake cryptocurrency investigations. So you can start with a cryptocurrency address, transaction hash, and essentially track the payments from there to the services that they interact with. The other service, obviously, is the transaction monitoring solution, and we have the crypto solution as well, which can also be used by regulators. It essentially provides risk ratings for cryptocurrency businesses based on their on-chain activity. Just ever so quickly before I go into the demonstration, the view on the left-hand side is what you typically see on the Block Explorer if you were looking at a particular cryptocurrency transaction. It's showing a transaction from one party to another. You see you've got the cryptocurrency addresses here on the left-hand side showing 1.5 Bitcoin, and you have the transaction hash here. Now, I suppose this is the view that many people thought cryptocurrency would be very anonymous. How can anyone ever associate these random numbers and letters back to them or back to their criminal enterprise? And that's essentially where they'd be wrong if it wasn't for Chainalysis. What you'd see if you're looking at Chainalysis, look at this particular transaction, you'll see this is a transaction from Coinify to Bitstamp. What we do is clustering and attribution. We cluster all addresses together which belong to a particular service or entity via a number of heuristics. And then we have to actually attribute that service and say, well, this cluster of addresses, this belongs to Coinbase, or this cluster of addresses belongs to this darknet market vendor or terrorist financing organization, for example. From a data perspective, we have over 5,000 services currently attributed within the solution set. That's across both your more regulated types of businesses over here on the left-hand side, so your exchanges, your hosted wallets, your merchant service providers, and so on. But the other services that we're particularly interested in is these high-risk exchange, darknet markets, ransomware actors, stolen funds, scams, any other type of service that's operating on the blockchain. We're looking to identify so you can see if a crypto business is receiving funds from one of those types of services or sending funds to one of these types of services, and whether individuals are interacting with these types of bad actors. So that's a very quick intro into Chainalysis. I just wanted to spend a little bit of time in the Reactor solution just to kind of show you what that looks like. So this is the main investigatory solution, Reactor. You can search in the search bar here via cluster name, via cryptocurrency address, via transaction hash, or even text. We even take information from open source intelligence services as well. So if I type in here Coinbase as an example, or any service that you're interested in looking into, any of those 5,000 services we have attributed, they will appear here in the search bar. So you can see I've got Coinbase comes up. It says it's an exchange indicated with a blue logo there. It's a low risk type service. And I can add the Coinbase cluster onto the graph. Now, once the Coinbase cluster loads, it's probably one of our largest. I think there's around 73 or 74 million addresses associated with Coinbase. We have this info panel appear here on the right-hand side. So we can see the current balance of Bitcoin at Coinbase. We can see how much Bitcoin's been sent and received. We can see how many addresses make up this cluster. So within this Coinbase cluster for Coinbase, there's currently 73.8 million Bitcoin addresses. That's essentially all their users on the platform. And you can see here, as we come down, we can see how long this cluster has been active from. So from the end of 2010, right up until today, as you'd expect. And then we also have this receiving and sending exposure wheels. So you can see where Coinbase has received its funds from. So where have its users deposited its funds from? What other services have their users been interacting with? And you can see, as you'd expect, the lion's share here is other exchanges. So the users have been receiving funds from other exchanges and depositing at Coinbase. And what you'll notice here is that there's two parts to the circle. We have the direct exposure on the outside. So this is if the funds come directly from another service deposited to Coinbase. And then we also track that indirect exposure as well. So what criminals will do now and the nefarious actors is that they'll try and move the funds through lots of different private wallet addresses to kind of hide where the funds originated from. And that's what we track here via this indirect exposure. If you click on any part of the pie, it will give you a full breakdown of those services. So if I click on Binance, what it will do is it will add the relationship between Binance and Coinbase onto this investigatory graph here. And if I was to click on the arrow between these two services, I can then see every single transaction that's ever occurred between Coinbase and Binance, the date and time they took place. I've got the sending address at Coinbase in this particular example and the deposit address here at Binance. So if you wanted to identify who actually owns this account, you could go to Coinbase and ask, for the KYC information as to who set up this particular account at Coinbase. Going very quickly back to this main overview, and one thing that I just wanted to show you here is this ability here for the different categories. So as I mentioned, we have over 5,000 different services.
1 minute left.
Okay. So yeah, we have over 5,000 different services attributed across these different categories. If we wanted to look at, say, what a high-risk exchange look like, let's put btce.com onto the graph. BTC.com is a high-risk exchange, no KYC, no AML policies and procedures, and you can see they've been given a high-risk exchange category, and you can see their exposure rules look very different to the ones at Coinbase. You know, lots of other high-risk exchange exposure, as you would expect. You know, this is acting very nefariously in that instance, and you can see how that changes. I think that's all I've got time to show. I'm only just scratching the surfaces into the capabilities of the tool, but I hope that gives an indication as to what we do here at Chainalysis and how this particular tool can be utilized for cryptocurrency investigations.
Thank you very much, Jed. I think this was very, very insightful. I think I'm actually compelled to say this again to regulators, that regardless of who are the top three, who's gonna emerge as the top three winners, if you feel like from these presentations that are being flashed here, there is another one that you want to reach to and talk to and further have engagement with them, reach out to me, because I'm really happy with what I'm seeing, and I'm in a position where I can say I'm indifferent because it's so difficult for me to choose because they are so wonderful. They're actually so wonderful. And then going to the 8th of the 10 presenters, we're gonna go to MCOM. Over to you, MCOM. Griff, you're on mute. Try to unmute.
Sorry, thank you, Awalani. Let me just upload my presentation. I see that Teams has made some changes on that front.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Greta van Heerden, and I'll be presenting on behalf of Moonstone and compliance experts. We are very excited at the prospect of working with everyone and then also finding solutions for the mentioned use cases. Awalani, can I maybe just ask, are you seeing my presentation or the presenter mode?
We can see the presentation. Yes, we can see it.
Just the presenter. Perfect, thank you. So if I can get started, let me just introduce you to the Moonstone group of companies. Sorry, I'm getting some delays here. Let me introduce you to the Moonstone group of companies. Moonstone has been a trusted advisor in the financial services and credit industries since our inception in 2000. And through the companies in our group, we currently deliver the FSCA regulatory examinations and offer compliance services, training and qualifications, and many other business and software solutions. Then from compliance expert side, they are the developers of Compliance Checkpoint, and they are an Australian specialist compliance business with over 25 years of experience in systems deployment, compliance consulting, and auditing. And we are proud to call them our technical partner, as they have immense experience in building comprehensive suites of compliance monitoring tools and working with governments, industry, and regulatory authorities across the globe. So for this hackathon, we've decided to focus on automated data collection, as we believe we can provide solutions for collecting, validating, and storing information from various sources, while also providing rich and valuable insights there too. Data is at the core of decision making, and we believe that it can definitely assist in highlighting certain trends that shape the industry. So let me introduce you to Compliance Checkpoint. Compliance Checkpoint is an advanced permission-driven portal that was created by compliance experts, and it provides secure access to certain questionnaires to specific stakeholders, and it aims to create automated paperless workflows that replace manual and spreadsheet-based disorder, and also assist in increasing productivity and reducing compliance costs. I think it was Ashley from Izazi that mentioned the switch and the importance of moving from unstructured to structured data, and this system can definitely assist with that. The system has been aligned with ISO 19600 and then also the more recent 37301 that was published in April. And it's ideal for internal and external assessments, questionnaire completion, surveys, vendor and contractor audits, and then also just to gain more value from data. We believe that the system will create additional capacity within the regulators' existing structures by automating the sending of questionnaires, using that information to gain insights from it, and also automatically analyzing that information based on secure compliance scoring and getting real-time information, real-time feedback through configurable dashboards. So why compliance checkpoints? I've highlighted 4 of the key attributes of the system that we think will be of use for the regulators. So if I'm starting with flexibility as the first one, the software is flexible, scalable, and readily adaptable to any organization and changes in policy. And I think that's important when you're looking at regulatory changes. Hard coding a questionnaire is no longer needed. You can update it as changes occur and request information from participants as new legislation rolls out. You have the option of a lot of API integration options, pulling in data from existing systems or exporting it to dashboards such as Power BI or Tableau, amongst many others. The system can be stored on your own internal servers or in a secure cloud-based data storage space, and it's not dependent on, or rather it is dependent on your specific requirements and how you want to host the service to your clients. You will be able to create and complete end-to-end workflows to fully automate things like your licensing, accreditation, and regulatory reporting procedures. This is an example of a workflow that I've used just to show you that on each of these nodes, you will be able to import and export information. So if you have legacy systems, you'll be able to use them still. If they are valuable to you, you don't need to replace them. If they are valuable, you can still continue with API integration into the legacy systems. So then also just an example of what the system looks like. It's fully customizable and you can white label it depending on your requirements. In this instance, we've chosen to white label it as the Moonstone Audit and Reporting System, or MARS for short. It's a system that Moonstone Compliance and our compliance officers use in fulfilling their monitoring duties. And it has been a part of the compliance team for, I think it's almost 10 years now. So we enjoy the system, we get a lot of feedback from it, and we're able to customize it as we go along. An example question, what it will look like on the system. You're able to attach various scores to the questions or even themes, and question responses can be included either in checkboxes, drop-downs, or even in free text format. And this can be and you can include more information relating to the requirement as well. So we believe this can create additional transparency in terms of the regulatory requirement. For instance, if you send out a survey, you're now also able to say, listen, this is what we need from you, and this is the source of the requirement, so that you better understand where it's coming from. In this instance, you can also upload attachments, things like photo evidence. In the phase space, if you need to show your license certificate is on the wall, you can take a photo of that and upload that into the assessment. In terms of scalability and productivity, this schematic highlights the interplay between some of the users and some of the stakeholders within the system. So if you're looking at having a central point for data collection, you'll be able to collect it there, analyze it there, and it can provide you with an organization-wide perspective, which will enable the monitoring of compliance across the organization from a single dashboard. And this is very powerful, especially if you're working with different departments where each has their own methodology. You can pull everything together into one system, into one dashboard if you prefer. Or you can go into it more granularly to say per department, per individual, per team, per country. There's a lot of customization that you will be able to do there. This
Sorry,
also
Grace,
shows you on
1 minute left. You've got 1 minute left.
Thank you. And then on the right-hand side, self-assessments. I think this is a very important option. And you can send it out automatically based on certain requirements and then pull in the information and get some very valuable data from that. Mobility and accessibility, I think, is very important. It has been a bit of a hurdle in previous regulatory initiatives, but this system, questionnaires can be completed on laptops, smartphones, and tablets, and the person will get a secure URL where they can complete the information. Also, if you're sending out a questionnaire, that person completing it doesn't have to be a user, so there's also no additional cost that's involved with that. From a customer point of view, I just wanted to include the example of ASX, the Australian Security Exchange, which has used the system and they've gained a lot of benefit from it in terms of flexibility, responding to changes in regulation, and then also just being able to communicate more effectively with their participants. Then in summary, I've highlighted some of the 5 core concepts that we've built into the system. But I think it's important to note that, especially on the prediction point, information and data is the key to the future, and especially in predicting future risk. And we believe that by utilizing the experience already within Moonstone and compliance experts, you'll be able to leverage from this, and that it will give you the peace of mind that you will be deploying a proven compliance methodology and product supported by a vendor that knows the space. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Griff. I think, yeah, what I can say is my cup is running over. I think, yeah, I've been fed to, yeah, and there's still more coming. So this is really wonderful. Thank you very much. And then what I will do now, I'll invite the 9th of the 10th speaker, which is MBS. MBS, the floor is for you. Which MBS, maybe just to highlight, their solution focused mostly on automated data collection. Over to you, MBS.
Hi, can everyone hear me? Hello?
Yes, you are.
Oh, you can. Okay, great. So I'm Neil Summers from Moonstone Business Solutions. And at MBS, we source and deliver online business and engagement solutions to the financial services sector and beyond. Our main focus currently is the distribution of VideoSign. VideoSign is an internet-based meeting recording and transacting service. And some context in terms of this Suptech Hackathon. Such a service would allow regulators to collect, validate and store quantitative and qualitative data, and to enable secure online thematic reviews. I think the product also would allow for identified risks and issues to be researched virtually and collaboratively with financial industry professionals. It's been developed by the UK startup VideoSign Limited, in which Moonstone is also a shareholder, and we support the solution locally from our Stellenbosch offices. So what is VideoSign? VideoSign basically comprises 3 main components, namely Verify, an online real-time identity verification service that uses facial recognition technologies, Meet, an online video meeting platform, and Sign, excuse me, an online real-time signing service which makes up the transaction part of the platform. VideoSign Verify is a mobile-based territory-specific facial recognition technology. It allows for identity verification via supporting documents such as driver's licenses or passports, or alternatively online via databases such as the South African Home Affairs Citizen Database. This functionality can be used independently or can be incorporated to manage video sign meeting room access. Identity and liveness are verified within seconds and reported on in accordance with client requirements. Having said that, though, I think that having access to verify is especially critical when dealing with individuals who are unknown to regulators and government departments. It immediately limits the potential for identity fraud and the challenges brought about by this type of criminality. So once a verification process has taken place, you enter your meeting room. So the online meeting follows identity verification, and VideoSign has a one-click entry system. It also conducts a health check, as you can see here, of the participant's device, and that just ensures that there's access to functionality such as mics, cameras, etc. Meeting access is secured with unique links, which are created by the system and automatically distributed to meeting participants. So how is this applicable to and appropriate to regulators? I think the main benefit is that, one, it's a secure browser, and which is an online meeting. Sorry, it's a secure browser-based online meeting and signing platform. So there's no need for you to download anything or install anything. As such, the platform allows users to verify identities, to meet, to view, exchange, and sign documentation. Obviously, the standard meeting functionality, such as sharing screens, etc., and then being able to record sessions across devices and operating systems. And then these recordings are all stored in one place, the VideoSign meeting room. And this allows hosts and participants independent access to meeting records. So in the event of a dispute, it would allow for a single record source, which would minimize debate and, dare I say, the vagaries of human recollection. Any acknowledgements or agreements that need to be formalized as a result of a meeting can be done using the VideoSign signing option or signing function. Signing can take place via a keyboard when using laptop or desktop, as you can see in this slide, a touchscreen, and that applies to both iOS and Android. Basically, I guess any smart communications device with a touchscreen. Or alternatively, you can upload a GIF signature as well. Certificate-based tamper-proof PDFs are created when documents are finalized. So this just means that they can't be re-signed in any other signature type application. We're also, VideoSign is currently working on a world first feature, which will allow for biometric identity verification at the point of signature.
Sorry, Neil. 1 minute left.
Oh, thank you. This will allow digital signatures or link to a signee's verified identity. Such a service will do away, as an example, with the need for documents to be witnessed when wet signing. It'll all be digital and online, and it's a very exciting development. And then, as we move to conclusion, all data, including communications, are encrypted by the service, which complies with privacy protection legislation such as PAPA and GDPR. Furthermore, any generated qualitative data are centrally stored with controlled access for analytics, including the conversion of recordings to text and reporting. An additional benefit is VideoSign's ability to integrate specifically for meeting setup and data exchange with external systems such as CRMs or complaints management systems via APIs. And then in summary, video sign will allow regulators to manage and conduct audits and reviews, as well as, due to incorporated identity verification and recording, the digitization of paper-based processes such as debt review, onboarding, and confirmation of SARS mandate. Its integrated secure functionality, namely identity verification, meeting and signing, far outweighs its competitors such as Teams and Zoom, and the multiple standalone signing services. Very much raises the bar for online digital engagement. And as can be seen from this slide, it's applicable across the board, appropriate to both regulators and government departments. It's a critical solution for secure digital engagement from a Suptech perspective. And just a quick word of thanks to Awalani and his team for the opportunity to present at this hackathon. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Neil. Much appreciated. Colleagues, I'm very much aware of time. We are only left with about one presenter. If you can see on the communication chat there, we've sent a link where you can, for those who are ready to vote, they can begin to start with the process. So where you have to give an opportunity to choose the best 3 solutions. So now we can hand over to MSSS just to give us the final menu for the day, which is their solution is around fraud detection and data automation. Over to you, MSSS.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Julian Lavagna, and I'm from Moonstone Software Solutions. Thank you for the opportunity to demonstrate how our product, the Fit and Proper Manager software tool, will be able to assist the Financial Sector Conduct Authority in executing its mandate. In terms of legislation, all financial services providers are required to establish and maintain an internal monitoring mechanism in order to ensure that its key individuals and representatives comply with the minimum qualification, financial product experience, product-specific training, regulatory examination, class of business training, and lastly, continuous professional development requirements. Our product, the Fit and Proper Manager tool, has been designed for that exact purpose. By simply entering or importing the required data, a compliance officer will be able to determine whether a FSP's employees are compliant, non-compliant, or whether they are still required to work under supervision. Our tool is able to communicate this information as a result of having coded all the published regulatory requirements into the source code. Therefore, any and all potential scenarios as it relates to a natural person's fit and proper requirements have already been incorporated into the tool. This includes all the deeming provisions and any exemptions or transitional arrangements that may be applicable to a representative that has joined the financial services as far back as 2004. All that is therefore required is for a super user to input a particular representative's product authorizations, and the application will do the rest by reporting on that individual's compliance status and any relevant deadline dates that may be applicable to that individual. How will this feature be able to assist the FSCA with executing its mandate? In terms of its obligation to ensure that all FSPs are compliant with the requirements of the FASE Act and relevant subordinate legislation, the Regulator Supervision Department conducts on-site visits at FSPs. By giving the FSCA access to this tool, an analyst planning to conduct an on-site inspection can, prior to the visit, determine the exact fit and proper requirements that would be applicable to a FSP's key individuals and representatives. This can be achieved by simply importing all the employees' DOFA and ALFA dates directly into the application. The importing of this data will be an easy process as the FSCA already maintains the DOFA and ALFA dates of all key individuals and representatives on its own database. As a matter of fact, if the regulator decides to use this tool, it will be utilizing the exact same mechanism currently used by our clients to import data from the Fiscus database into the tool. Once the data has been imported, the relevant reports and deadline registers can be accessed by an analyst in order to view the various fit and proper requirements and associated deadline dates which must be satisfied by the FSP's employees. So being a phase compliance officer myself, I think that most phase compliance officers will agree with me that the process of trying to establish a rep's fit and proper requirements are not an easy one. In fact, due to the numerous phase notices and exemptions that have been published, it is very easy to make a mistake, which in turn may lead to uncertainty and frustration for both the representative and the compliance officer. Any tool that is therefore capable of quickly and accurately assessing the relevant requirements will undoubtedly increase the regulator's efficiency and productivity. An added benefit is that the analyst can also use the tool during an on-site visit. So, for example, if the analyst has access to the rep's achieved credentials, such as his or her qualifications, regulatory exams, CPD activities, etc., the additional information can then be entered into the tool in order to generate compliance reports. The analyst will then be able to establish with a great degree of certainty whether a particular individual is in fact compliant or not. I hope that the potential benefits of using this tool's features as part of the FSCA's risk-based approach are becoming evident. Ultimately, these features will assist the regulator to quickly identify high-risk individuals who should not be permitted to render financial services to the public. The tool becomes even more powerful when having to assess the fit and proper status of multiple employees rendering financial services on behalf of large corporate FSPs such as banks or insurers. When performing spot checks, the FSCA's analysts will be able to identify these high-risk individuals much faster and more accurately. This in turn will improve the regulator's overall risk-based approach. Just quickly, the fit and proper requirements that can be assessed on the tool is honesty and integrity, the entry-level qualification requirement, product-specific training, key individual management and oversight experience, Council of Medical Scheme accreditation, recognized qualifications, financial product experience, class of business training, regulatory examinations, and of course, continuous professional development. Finally, I want to highlight an additional feature offered by the tool that may be of interest to the regulator. Apart from the first three benefits listed here, the tool is predominantly used by our clients to automate the process of maintaining the FSP's internal rep register and competence register. For example, when an FSP adds or removes a rep from the application, these changes are automatically updated on the FSP's rep register and competence register. In turn, super users can then proceed to download a phase rep register, which then reflects the changes that were made within a specified time frame. The phase rep register is generated in the format required by the regulator and specify the updates that must be communicated within 15 days of such changes having occurred. An opportunity that the regulator may therefore wish to consider is an updated competence register report. An updated report will allow FSPs to communicate additional requirements that are not currently being communicated via the current phase rep register. For example, product-specific training, class of business training, and completed CPD activities. By expanding the list of requirements that must be reported on, the regulator can potentially increase its supervisory oversight, thereby reducing the risk of failing to remove individuals who should not be allowed to render financial services. We think that we have an elegant solution and we will be happy to engage with the FSCA in this regard. Again, thank you for the opportunity to showcase our product, and I hope that the Fit and Proper Manager tool will receive a favorable response from the attendees. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much to the Moonstone team. I think this has been an amazing experience to us as regulators and everyone that is had an opportunity to partake or to be part of this event that is actually happening today. So what I'm gonna do now, as I've indicated, I've shared with you guys with the audience the link where they can vote the best 3 solutions. So I'm gonna give you something like 4 to 3 minutes to do that. And then, yeah, in the meantime, I'll just also have to do a quick recap of what actually you have delivered today, so that even when you cast your vote, you cast knowingly who actually delivered today. So yeah, let me try and share my my slide here just to recap with you. Just let me know if you can see my slide at the moment. Anka, just alert me if you can see it.
Yeah, Walani.
Not yet.
Yes.
Okay, in the meantime, we can continue to vote. My computer is freezing, a bit slow. So those who are leaving, please make sure that you cast your vote before you leave. Make sure you cast your vote.
Hi, Awelane. Where is the website?
I've sent the link on MS Teams. Onka, did you receive it? Check
Walani, yes, the link is on the meeting chat.
On the meeting chat there's a link, monkey survey, just click on it. Thank you very much, Kakiso, for coming to the rescue, for sharing the slides there. I think they are gone now. Yeah, thank you very much. So as you can see today, we had a privilege of hosting Isazi. Isazi, they specialize in AI and machine learning. We had Secure Citizen, which are basically an onboarding platform. We had Ashanti, that specialize in data engineering, analytics, ML, and AI solution. We had Image Analytics. We had Lemonade, that offer compliance system to perform searches and forensic work. We had Converge Solution, that offer solutions that relate to fraud management, covering AML, forensic, and other forms of fraud. We had Chain Analysis, that deals with a blockchain analysis of companies. They are more into crypto space. We had Mars, that specialize in the collection and analysis of compliance-related data. We had MBS with their video science solution that offers secure online engagement, recording, and transacting. We had Moonstone software solution that assesses and monitor the entire fit and proper competency representatives. So this has been a very wonderful audience. I mean, fintechs, innovators that actually dished a very great menu to us as regulators. And we just want to say to them, thank you very much. They're all our winners, though we'll end up choosing the select three, but in my eyes, they are all our winners because all of them really did a great job. And also to the World Bank team, thank you very much for making time to come and present. And yeah, show us a global perspective as to what is happening around the Suptech space. Also, just to highlight what Kahisov already indicated on the message here, that should you wish to have further engagements or discussions with one of the presenters who are here, feel free to reach out to me. I'll make sure that I connect with them so that, yeah, you can take it further. Other than that, this has been a very wonderful experience. Great session indeed. And then it is a testament to one of our components in the innovation hub, what you call an innovation accelerator, whereby our motto is we go to the fintechs, we go to the ground and learn from them and bring it within. We have actually learned a lot today, and we just want to say thank you very much. I hope most of people have wrapped up the voting process so that we can give you a result of who are actually the winners. So the numbers are increasing and increasing. Let me give you 2 minutes again, just for other people to wrap up. But I could see the numbers are increasing and increasing. We are almost there. Just 2 minutes to conclude the vote and then we wrap up. Okay, I think we have, yeah, we have reached capacity, as I can see. I hope we are all bracing and waiting who's gonna emerge here as the winner. Okay, so the score charts indicated that there is a tie for the first position. So which it went to both Isazi and Ashanti AI. So there's a tie between Isazi and Ashanti AI for the first position. And then for one who came second, that was Chain Analysis. They came second. And then the third and the final, it went to Converge Solution. So you've got the first, which was occupied by Isazi and Ashanti. They share the spoil. They were equal on vote, followed by Chain Analysis. And then the third, it was Converge Solution. So thank you very much. These are the top 3 best solutions that were selected by audience for the day. And then we just want to say thank you very much. Like I said, in my eyes, I feel like everybody's a winner. The solutions that have been displayed here, they've been amazing and it's been great. But at the end of the day, this audience have spoken, have indicated that, yeah, those were the best 3 which they've chosen today. But as we have indicated, all of you have presented, you've got an opportunity to further engage with the regulators who are sitting here. They will reach out to us and then we'll be able to facilitate that discussion going forward. On those few words, I don't know if Kagiso, you want to come in and say something. I just want to say thank you very much for your patience and for willing to stay for such an extra time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Awelane. Nothing further to add. There will be further engagement for those interested, just to highlight that. But we thank everybody for their participation. We thank the innovators for exposing us to highly innovative best practices around supervisory technology innovation. We thank World Bank for helping us get a perspective of a global perspective that we can benchmark ourselves against. And we thank Awelane for his continued effort in researching and benchmarking us against the global context and surveying the local landscape. And on that note, I'd like to thank everybody and close this call. And we look forward to much more around this, and watch the space. We will certainly be in touch. Thank you. And well done to the winners.
Bye-bye. Thank you and have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.